Om Prapanna Parijataya Totravetraikapanai Geetamritaduhe Namaha. Answering the seventh and the last question of Arjuna, Sri Krishna said, the way to know me is to arrive at that state of mind when you recognize me and me alone as the reality. The simple meaning that anybody would draw from the shloka 5 would be in a dualistic manner, thinking of Sri Krishna in a certain form, thinking of Sri Krishna with certain divine qualities. No doubt that also is auspicious, that also can bring a lot of good to the departing soul. But the second half of the shloka, which says, Madbhavam yati, such a person, lady or man, reaches my own state, my own stature, that calls for a higher interpretation. Therefore, in the Advaita Vedanta, we interpret the first part to measure up to the second part. Madbhavam sodhi gacchati. He doesn't say Vaikunthe agacchati or Golokhe agacchati or some other Swargam prapnoti. All these are very desirable destinations. At a couple of places, if not more, in the Gita, Sri Krishna talks about the individual attaining sameness, oneness with Sri Krishna himself. Therefore, there are many parts of shlokas in the Gita which form the basis for Advaita Vedanta. As you know, there is the Dvaita Vedanta, there is the Vishishtadvaita Vedanta. What they do in those camps is they interpret those portions of the Gita which have a strong flavor of non-duality as something not to be taken literally. They interpret that and bring it down to some sense of being close to Sri Krishna or being very dear to Sri Krishna. So, that interpretation is in a sense permissible, going by what we call language, the range of meanings that a language permits. Suppose we go to Suvarnamukhi Samskriti Dhama and one day you ask Dr. Nagaraju or somebody, that flower is so beautiful, may I pluck that only one for my puja today? So, Dr. Nagaraju or somebody may lovingly say to you, go ahead, one flower, it's all right. Go ahead. And out of love and regard, they may even say, feel free in this ashram, it's your ashram. That last sentence can be very uplifting. It's your ashram. Anywhere, at homes also. Make it your home. This is yours. It permits, language permits. But we don't take that literally. It is the host's generosity. I worked in a factory long back, much before all this. And then there was some project where we had to work till 9 p.m., 9:30. Those days, not with computer, but some hardware, this and that. Once we were working up to 9 p.m., trying to finish some deadline or catch up with that, and the factory manager, the head came, and we were all young fellows. Oh, you are all working hard, keep it up, he said. We looked at him, we are trying to finish this. And then I remember, he ordered some sandwiches and coffee for all of us, sat there for a little time, appreciated our work, praised every one of us. You are very good in this, you are so good in that. Then he said, anything you need, just ask, do not hesitate. This factory is yours. This company is yours. You are the company. HCL, that was the company, Hindustan Computers Limited. HCL, that time itself was a pretty good company. Today it has spread its wings all over the world, hardware, software, this, that, so huge. But he said, this is your company. So language permits sometimes a statement like that. Therefore, Sriman Madhvacharya would say, wherever there are some statements which say, you are God, and don't take it too seriously, okay? So Dvaita Siddhanta cuts down, brings down the Advaitic statements to 2 notches below. And wherever there are statements which are in larger in number, where it is said, you are Dasa and Vishnu is Prabhu, Master. There are plenty of them. Surrender to him. Gita has, several hundreds of lines which literally mean Dvaita. You are nowhere compared with God. God is up there and you are down here. I don't know in which work, but I have read that Sriman Madhvacharya has said in one of his works that imagine a huge palace with hundreds of beautiful rooms, starting with the king's chamber, the queen's chamber, and some other chamber, fabulous places, and so many rooms for royal guests, and so on. Imagine in that huge palace a distant room on the 4th floor or something like that. And imagine the wall of that room. Imagine a crack in that wall. Even a king's palace, maintenance is a problem for everybody. A crack. And imagine there is a little worm in that crack, moving up and down, maybe putting its head once in a while, putting its head out, then again hiding in a little crack in the wall of a room on the 4th floor of a huge palace. Why is that example given? Lord Hari is the king who owns that whole palace. And every Jivatma is like that worm. This Bheda is not to be questioned. Your well-being is in surrendering to Hari without trying to be too smart. That is the teaching. of the Dvaita Siddhanta. Sriman Madhvamate Hari Parataraha Jagat Satyam. Everything is real. And our kalyana, our well-being is in surrender. That Christianity also says, surrender to Jesus, don't ask more questions. Islam also says, Allah, there is no one else, bow down, don't ask questions. And so many other religions. Therefore, it's up to your inclination, your grasp, your past tendencies. In this world, from time immemorial, there were large numbers of people who felt at home in the Dvaita outlook. There were always certain number of people who were very uncomfortable with that, which is full of dictations. Take this, do not ask questions. They questioned, they went into so many insights. Even in Christianity, in Islam and everywhere, there are small groups. Like in Islam, although I have not studied much, Sufism. And there is the statement, An al-Haq, which is Advaitic. I am one with the divine, and so on. Those minorities were persecuted and they had to run. Though there are Sufi masters even today, and that would be a long commentary on religions. So, in the fifth shloka, we are going by Shankaracharya's Advaita Vedanta, and I for one always give great regard to Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita for, let me say this and then proceed. Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita, from the Advaitic point of view, are not false. We don't say reject it. We say Dvaita is wonderful. On a scale of not 1 to 10, on a scale of not 1 to 100 even, on a scale of 1 to 1000, Dvaita and Vishishtadvaita take you, according to the Advaita view, to 950, 975. In our worldliness, prapanchikata, you and I are at 200, 150, on a scale of 1000. And being devoted to Hari or being devoted to Shiva with a Dvaita bhava. I am way down and Shiva is way up there. I am way down here and Hari or Hanuman, whatever form. God is up there. I am down here. If you go with that, but if you do upasana, develop bhakti, then definitely, therefore in Islam, in Christianity, in other religions too, those selfless souls who want the well-being of all, in all those systems reach great heights of inner development. Therefore, we would say the dualistic systems are not to be, considered false or wrong or negative, etc. They are very positive systems. Okay. They take you up to 975 on a scale of 1 to 1000. And Advaita is that remaining 25, 1000 out of 1000. This is the view. I am no authority, but I am quoting. Swami Vivekananda himself said when he was asked, what are these three famous systems of India? He said, Dvaita is like a photograph of the sun from the earth. Click. Vishishtadvaita is get much closer to the sun and take a photograph of the sun. And Advaita is yet closer, the closest possible click is Advaita. Of course, the Madhvas and Sri Vaishnavas are very angry, especially Madhvas are very angry with Vivekananda. Vivekananda, who otherwise is a national and international hero, is not a welcome figure in Madhva settings. So that is all right, Loko bhinna ruchihi. Loko bhinna ruchihi means people have different inclinations, tastes. So I will not make any more references to other systems. Bhagavad Gita supports all the three systems. Depends on how you interpret the statement. Gita has shlokas. A wonderful Sri Vaishnava scholar in Bangalore gave me clarity as way back in 1989 or so. I was in Sri Krishna temple in Indiranagar. Sri Professor Anantarangachar had come for a talk. So I approached him and he made a statement which for me was very helpful. Professor Anantarangachar said to me, look, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, all of them have three kinds of statements, A, B, C. The kind of statements under group A have a strong suggestion of Advaita. They are there. You can identify. Look at these mantras. See how clearly it is said. It is Advaita. Then there is a set of mantras under B. They have a distinct flavor of Vishishtadvaita, where God is the whole, every one of us is a part. Then there is a third bunch of shlokas or mantras or sutras. Brahma Sutra, it is sutras. Upanishad, they are mantras. Bhagavad Gita, it is shlokas. So Professor Anantarangachar said to me that there is a third group which have a distinct flavor of Dvaita. Number-wise, the third is the largest. And then he said, no need to break your head on all this. What Adi Shankaracharya did was, he took group A as Mukhya. Mukhya means primary. Group B and C as Gauna. These two words he used. Gauna means secondary. What Sri Ramanujacharya did was, took group B, where God is the whole and Jiva is the part, as primary. And he interpreted shlokas or sutras or mantras of group A and C. He interpreted in some way to fit into his model. And what Madhvacharya did, coming last, among the three, historically he came the last. Therefore, the followers of Madhvacharya also say, Ante Siddham Siddhantam. What is proved at the end is the Siddhanta. So, what Madhvacharya did is, he took the mantras or shlokas or sutras under group C as the primary one. Dekho, 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 yahan dekho, yahan dekho, yahan dekho. Look here, look here, look here. And they are larger in number, let us agree. Number should not matter to a thinker. They are larger in number. Dualistic lines are always larger in all religious bodies of literature. Okay. He took C as main. And what about those A and B shlokas? They can be interpreted. So what you take as literally true and what you take as to be interpreted varied between the three acharyas. In this shloka, from the Advaita point of view, we take Madbhavam Yati. that devotee attains my own nature, my own state, my own being. He becomes or she becomes one with me, no distinction anymore. Take a pot of water and dip it in a river. Dip it deep, and the water of the pot merges with the rest of the water. You take the pot out upside down, empty, and then say, "Oh, I hurried. I want that water back for a little while. I'll put it back again later." Where that water went, God knows. It merges, no distinction. Madbhavam yati. Jivatma and Paramatma no more have a distinction. This is the Advaita Vedanta's interpretation of this. And Arjuna's question is answered. You want to know how you should know me, how you should attain me? Have me in your mind. It's all in your mind. What you think, you become. At once it is a simple statement and a statement of far-reaching significance. Every day you and I get thousands of opportunities to shift from a thought that weakens us, makes us do wrong things, makes us ruin our relationships, makes us mess up things, makes us feel guilty later on, ashamed later on, regret, in whatever context. Should shift to a thought that makes us just 2 minutes later pat ourselves on the back. I'm glad I said this. I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I did not do that. Right? And what is going on over there? Basically, it is thought. One kind of thought pulls you down. Another kind of thought lifts you up. Therefore, thought binds you. Thought takes you towards freedom. This is the echo of so many shlokas. Therefore, Sri Krishna now continues. Oh, that was the 5th shloka. Maybe I said by mistake 7. Now we enter the 6th shloka. 6th and 7th we may take up. As I said before, Lord Krishna gives tremendous importance to this 7th question. How important it is to train our mind to be God conscious. He says in 6 and 7, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitah. Together, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tamevaiti kaunteya tasmat sarveshu kaleshu Mamanusmara yudhyacha Mayarpita mano buddhihi Mame vaishyasi asamshayah Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu The 6th verse gives the law of thinking. There is a law of thinking. What is that? As you think, so you become. As a man thinketh, so he becometh. That is some old way of putting it. Archaic language. As you think, so you become. There is a beautiful bunch of lines. Sow a thought, reap an action. Sow an action, reap a habit. Sow a habit, reap a character. Sow a character, reap a destiny. Thought to action to habit to character to destiny. Where did it all begin? With a thought. We have generally a lot of freedom. I wouldn't say infinite freedom. Our thoughts also are bound by certain conditionings. Do we have any amount of freedom with respect to thought? Really, no. Suppose I ask one of you who is, let us say, pure vegetarian. Okay, next 5 minutes, think about a nice chicken dish. You won't be able to because you have no imagination about it. I ask one of you who has never been to, let us say, San Francisco. Think of yourself walking on the Golden Gate Bridge at San Francisco with a view of the Pacific Ocean coming into the Bay Area or something like that. You will try, but you cannot. Therefore, it is rightly said that thought has a lot of limitations. Thought operates in a limited field, which is both its strength and weakness. It is its strength because in that domain, if choices are wisely taken, it can achieve a lot. Your own conscience does not have infinite capacity. Your conscience, this sense of the inner voice, which says, do this, it is good, don't do that, it is bad, that need not be right. The conscience of evildoers guides them sometimes without a shade of doubt to do wrong things. They are very sure that is the right thing. But later on, hopefully later on in that life itself, they confess. At that time I thought that was the right thing to do. I apologize. I am so sorry. The person may say before some judge in a court, after touching Gita or Bible, Quran or some others, मैं सच कहता हूँ, सच ही कहता हूँ, और सच के अलावा कुछ नहीं कहता हूँ. In this way, you do pramana vachana or something, and then you finally, when you slowly understand. Therefore, in United States, when I first saw a board, correctional facility, I was puzzled. Because I knew correction only in colleges and schools. Answer papers are corrected. Actually, that should be called evaluation. But there is a lay usage. Correction is going on. It's actually evaluation. Of course, in regular studies, a teacher may correct things and tell the student, next time write properly. But anyway, in San Jose, I saw a correctional facility. Then somebody explained to me, here jails are called correctional facility. Very good word, good terminology. Because wrongdoers have to be corrected in their thinking. You just punish them for the wrong they have done and then release them, that won't go far. Hopefully you educate them. No, not easy, but that should be our motive. So, what is right, what is wrong, our conscience says. Generally it is said, be true to your conscience. That is well said, but That doesn't mean your conscience is always right. Your conscience might be, whether you like it or not, a misguided conscience, an ill-educated conscience. You grew up or you had association with such wicked people. So what you thought of as right, what you thought of as wrong were all not truly noble or not truly right. So thought has its limits. So I call this the law of thinking. When you, within that domain where your thought can operate, there are choices. Just as somebody living in a little village has choices within whatever that village has to offer to her. Somebody living in some very advanced, what you call these days, smart city. Cities also are getting smart now. I tell you, this way if we progress, you will have smart cities and smart phones and smart refrigerators and what else, everything is smart, bathrooms and smart, everything smart. The human being becomes idiotic. Technology will turn everything upside down. I take a pen, it is smart. Everything is smart. So much intelligence, artificial intelligence is installed into everything that we use. The Internet of Things, there is a whole subject now. In our time we had not heard that expression. Internet of Things. And that is about putting everything together. It's one thing to imagine the refrigerator is smart in its own operation. But next level is the refrigerator with its artificial intelligence, the microwave oven with its intelligence, and maybe all the gadgets, and of course your laptop and your mobile, all of them even exchange information between each other. You send a message to your wife, "Oh, tonight I'm coming late. Can we have dinner together at 9 p.m. instead of 7 p.m.? You sent from your mobile to her mobile. I'm just imagining, I don't know much about that subject, but it's conceptual, it's that. Now, that will go to other gadgets in the house. And everything automatically changes. A lot of things happen on their own. I'm fond of sharing a joke which I read long back before so much advancement took place. A magazine had a joke. Comic strip with only one slide. One executive is saying to another executive, you must ask, I hope my laptop will check with your laptop and advise us whether we can meet this Saturday evening for dinner. So the two laptops will figure out. They have the schedules. They will advise us. And I think same issue, there was one more. A 6-year-old child is asking her parents, "Papa, Mama, was I born in a hospital or did you download me from one of the websites?" A day will come when children will ask you, was I downloaded or was I born in a hospital? It goes just as there are many children in developed countries, they have not seen a cow at all. And to show a cow that delivers milk is a Sunday project for the parents. Next Sunday we are taking our children to show them cows. In America I've heard, we took our children last Sunday to such and such dairy. It's a big project, and showed them. Otherwise, how do you get milk? Little paper cartons. That's all they know. So, as you think, so you become, has so much of significance. Now in the religious context, yam yam bhavam smaran. Adi Shankara says Bhava here stands for Devata Vishesha. Devata Vishesha. You think of God as the one truth in all living beings, all pervasive. God is everywhere, every moment. There is no window of time, no corner of space where God is not, etc. That would be a high level, smaran, the height of it, maximum height. Otherwise, you think of God as very sure God. My God is in my village, I am going there next month. Long time since I met him. My God is in that little temple, in that village, and then the Rupa, Nama, Varnana, description, all of them can be petered down, can be brought down to, So, through thought, you can understand God in all His majesty, or through thought, you can limit God, not really, but in your thinking, God becomes, how is my God, how is your God? Like we ask each other, how is your son? Let me tell you how my daughter is. My God, your God, her God, his God. That is also one level. All because of limitations of thinking. Lord Krishna says, Tyajati ante kalevaram. Kalevara is sharira, body. While dropping the body, your consciousness, your understanding, your prajna could be anchored in something very limited. Then your prospect also is limited. Your future is limited. The next birth, what happens in the next life is all limited. There was an American couple who had come to India and they went to Pondicherry. The lady was a physician. The husband also was well educated. They were touring India. In Pondicherry, somewhere in late 70s or early 80s, they stayed in some guest house and some mosquitoes, wild mosquitoes were present. The husband himself said to me, and it was that time they had 2 tiny babies. Maybe they had delivered during the lady had delivered during the tour. To make the long story short, the mosquitoes bit the tiny 6-month, 5-month-old, maybe they were twins, I think, twins, yeah. Babies all over, head also, And next morning the children had brain fever and some complications. Both the children went into coma. The mother was a physician herself and they tried their best. They moved heaven and earth. Pondicherry did have some good hospitals even at that time. But in spite of all, both those kids, a few months old, got severe brain damage, infection, whatever medical language you call it. Many years later, I didn't know them at that time. I got to know them in the early 2000s. And I had met one of their daughters who was wonderful and who was a dancer. I had met only her. I thought they have this daughter. At their home, I saw one more grown-up daughter, some 20-year-old, well built. But in a minute I got to know that she is challenged. Her movements, her talking, and suddenly like a little child she started crying. Then later I asked the lady, mother, so this is another daughter of yours. She said, don't you know, we have one more too. And then she said, that one more is more damaged in her brain. We have put at a home run by the government. So they have 3 daughters. The one I had met some years before also was normal and enjoying normal health, talented, gifted, etc. The other two, were severely impaired. Their brains were impaired. And the mother, the physician, said to me what happened in Pondicherry, etc. I'm saying this because look at how, if there is some unfortunate damage, the ability of the brain, ability of thinking gets so restricted. In religious context also, some people cannot see beyond their pet theory, their pet system, and the narrow interpretations they give to statements in their scriptures. And they are ready to give their life also. It's something like a brain damage. Therefore, you and I have to work hard to take care of our thinking. May our thinking be more and more broad. May we not suffer from any narrowness of outlooks. Like some of those Tagore's poems have that spirit. Where the head is held high, what is that? Where there is, Where my mind is without fear, where the head is held high. One of the very beautiful poems in Gitanjali, the work by him that brought Nobel Prize to him. And at the end, unto that land, lead me, Thank you, yeah. To that heaven of freedom, O my Father, let my country awake. Yeah. I was not sure of the exact words, thank you. Let my country awake to that heaven of freedom where there is so much understanding, so much broadness of outlooks and so on. So all that comes to this yam yam bhavam smaran tyajati ante kalevaram tam tameva eti. So is life bad or is life good? When you look at terrible things happening, now Ukraine being attacked by Russia and lot of innocent people losing lives, losing property, and children being orphaned, all sorts of, They have not done anything, but the politicians, the people in charge of affairs did certain mistakes, and innocent people, civilians suffer. So, on one hand, life is very bad. Look at what is happening in Ukraine and in many places in the world. Right? On the other, every one of us, every day has yet another opportunity to live better than how we did yesterday. And to have this opportunity is such a privilege. That way life is good. Thus, the decisive factor, the deciding factor is thought. Therefore, take care of your thoughts. Never underestimate. Don't say, I just will think about stealing that beautiful, precious gold that she has or he has. I won't do it, okay? If you think, sow a thought, reap an action. Put a seed and say, I just put a seed, I did not do anything. After some time the plant will come up. Then don't say, why did this plant come? You sowed the seed. Thus, without interpreting it further, Sri Krishna says to us, it is so important to lift our thinking to divinity. Interestingly, in verses 5 and 6, the focus was on antakale, at the time of dying. Ante kalevaram tyajati. Antakale smaran. Both were antakala, anta, so that last 2-3 minutes. But there is a surprising, unexpected departure in verse 7. Tasmat. What is tasmat? Therefore. Tasmat is like in mathematics you have those 3 dots. 1 dot above and 2 dots below. Which means therefore. Therefore normally should be perfectly in line with what was said before. I gave you 2 apples. Now I am giving you 2 more apples. Therefore you have 4 now. So if I had given 2 apples to you, then I gave 2 more. Therefore, just sums up. So if the verse 5 said antakale, if the verse 6 said ante, this also should say tasmat antakale ma manusmara. So Sri Krishna should have said, therefore Arjuna, you must at the time of dying remember me. But making a departure, God as though pulls the carpet below the feet of Arjuna. Arjuna had already made plans. Okay, when I die, I will do that. Therefore, anything else I have to think, I will finish one by one systematically. I will think about all the worldly pleasures. I finish off this, what do you call it, some bucket list. I have made a bucket list of desires to be fulfilled. Movies to be seen, that to be enjoyed, places to be seen, fun. And then, because my father and mother both died at such and such age, I expect to die at around that age. Some people have such calculations, So, last few days, I'll think of God. Arjuna had made very, very clear plans. But Sri Krishna, therefore I said, pulls the rug below his feet. Aisa nahi hai. Sarveshu kaleshu. Therefore, Kunti ke bete, think of me at all time. Why? We'll go into it. Sri Krishna says 2 things. Think of me, think of God, think of your ego-free consciousness. Think of your own true nature as having nothing to do with your gain and loss, nothing to do with your failure and success. Because ordinarily you and I feel low remembering a failure and feel good remembering success somewhere. We go up and down, because of memories. And what is it to think of God from a Jnana Marga's high plateau point of view? To think of God is to see ourselves as just Sat Chit, existence, awareness. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu ma manusmara. Think of me. And there is one more, yudhya cha. Yudhya is an imperative statement. Fight. In today's Paninian Sanskrit, it should be yudhyasva. There is what is called Atmanepadi. Labhasva, modasva, ramasva. Yudhyasva means fight, lado. Lado, yuddha karo. That is the meaning. I have a suspicion, Putin read just this part of Bhagavad Gita. For almost 1 or 2 months, when the whole world was pleading with him, don't go on war, don't go on war. They even threatened him. United States threatened him. If you go on war, we will, announce sanctions. They are doing that now, announcing sanctions, that we won't have business with you, we won't sell you products, we won't buy your produce. So many ways they restrict, And Putin was at a loss. Then he heard Swami Chidananda's lecture. Open any page in Bhagavad Gita, you will get answer to your question. Okay, let's give a chance to an Indian monk. He opened it. Yudhya cha. Immediately. Part of his mind said, let me read one more shloka. No, this is what I wanted. Let me not read anything more. Jo chahiye tha, wo mil gaya. So I got it. And he went on war. Yudhya literally means fight. But let us clarify, it is no sanction, no approval for fighting to either Putin or to any one of us. Please don't go home and pick up a fight with members of the family. क्या हो गया आपको? You went to that spiritual camp and पहले ऐसे नहीं थे. झगड़ा कर रहे हैं आप, छोटी छोटे चीज़ों पर झगड़ा कर रहे हैं, fighting on small issues. चिदानंद समर्पितम, Krishnarpanamastu, like that. Whatever fight I pick up here is all due to the classes I heard, because it was said Yudhyacha. No, for you and me, the word Yudhya right away means do your duty, understand your Swadharma, understand your strengths and shortcomings, find out what the best way it is for you to serve, to make situations better around you, to wipe the tears of people and not to cause tears. As Satya Sai Baba gave a lot of nice moral advice. One of them is serve all, love all and hurt no one. So serve all, love all, and hurt no one. Yet another place. There are several pairs or sets of statements. Sri Satya Sai Baba did a lot of service to humanity, and in his teachings he focused more on bhakti and human values. But I know a gentleman who was doing PhD on Brahma Sutras. He was a teacher at Satya Sai School near Mangalore at a place called Alike. This was many years ago. He was doing PhD on Brahma Sutras, which is a very advanced Vedanta text. So, he was a devotee of Satya Sai. He went to Puttaparthi to take Baba's blessings, not expecting any guidance. Because Baba is in bhakti and seva, not in jnana. He did not expect. But Baba called him one morning, Rajaram, Andarao. And Rajaram went inside. 1-to-1, what a great fortune, very difficult. Although this was in the 80s, I think late 80s. And Swami made him sit, asked him, how is your thesis coming up? How much have you covered? Rajaram very hesitatingly said, I have covered this sutra and then I have studied some Shankara Bhashya, written this explanation. And Rajaram says to us later, he was astonished. Sai gave him guidance on so many issues of Brahma Sutra Bhashya and Brahma Sutra's material. He said, I never knew this side of Swami. Swami knows all the Shastras. Swami knows the advanced text of aphorisms on the ultimate reality. Then he incorporated all those points in his thesis. He became Dr. Rajaram. I guess even today he is at Alike. Alike is a little 1 hour maybe from Mangalore. So, Satya Sai focused more on seva and bhakti. When Vivekananda, Chinmayananda, and they focused on letting people know scriptures. A great contribution by Swami Chinmayananji has been, he made large numbers of people around the world not only study Gita, but go into every shloka, every word meaning, every phrase, and so on. Very detailed study of the Vedanta works. Sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. This also has so much significance. This is a golden advice. Sri Ramakrishna said, you see, when one of your hands is at work, you are doing something, hold God with the second. As soon as your work is over, hold God with both the hands. That's one of the sweetest pieces of advice I have come across in bhakti literature. कभी ईश्वर को मत छोड़ो, एक हाथ जब काम पर है दूसरे हाथ से पकड़ो, काम खत्म होते ही दोनों हाथों से ईश्वर को पकड़ना. I also can say that, but Ramakrishna lived that. Ramakrishna day and night was God conscious. In a short span of mere 50 years, 1836 to 1886. My God. Truly an avatara purusha. Avatara varishtaya Ramakrishnaya te namaha. In this camp, we not only will celebrate Shivaratri tonight, we also will be remembering Sri Ramakrishna on the last day, 4th March, is Sri Ramakrishna Jayanti. And his advice, I don't know whether he thought of it after looking at this shloka, or it came from his own experiences. What he said goes so well with this shloka. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. What it means is constantly remember God and do your duty. Yudhya is not fight. For Arjuna, he was a soldier. Soldiers have to do their job, lawyers have to do their job. If a lawyer were to read this, I must constantly remember God and do my best in all the cases that I take up. A businessman accordingly. So Swadharma one must understand and do it well. Do well all that you take up and remember God. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, not antakale. And mai arpita mano buddhihi. If you offer both your head and heart, buddhi and manaha. Mano buddhihi is heart and head. Our emotions and our thoughts, which tend to go to everything else except God. What to do? This world is like that. Let us blame the world. But who created this world? We create the world. We sometimes blame our company. My friends, or we blame our spouse. I wanted to be very religious, but this spouse, man says the wife is coming in the way. Woman says the husband is the difficulty. And there are times in family life, once a husband was all the time complaining with his friends that this wife doesn't allow me to do any sadhana. At home, always something or the other. Once his wife and children went to Maika of that lady for about a week. And he said to his friend, she is going for a week and I am finally going to do Vedanta study, japa and so on. Those 7 days became the worst time of his. First thing he did after, he dropped them at a railway station and came back is he again slept. Slept up to afternoon, 1 o'clock or so. And no proper food also. He ate some junk thing. All his mood was disturbed. The next day he was just cleaning the house. Third day he thought of seeing a movie. Fourth day something else. At the end of 7 days he confessed before his friends, when she is around, out of fear of her, at least I don't do all silly things. These 7 days were the worst. So you blame spouse or so anybody, but actually the main problem is within you. So we must recognize. Therefore, we are our best friends, we are our worst enemies. We need to work on ourselves. Shankaracharya, for Yudhya, he says, Yuddhancha swadharmancha kuru. He brings the word swadharma. For Arjuna, swadharma was fighting the war. For you and me, Swadharma is something different. And Swadharma doesn't remain absolutely the same all through your life. If you work on yourself, new avenues open up. Your Sattva Rajas combination changes. If you do regular sadhana, you who were very Rajasic at one time will turn into Sattvic. You will become more noble. You will be surprised at your own behavior, your own thoughts going through dramatic changes. The sinner can become a saint. Therefore, there is the old saying, every saint has a past and every sinner a future. Thus, having advised Arjuna and through Arjuna को बहाना बनाकर, Arjuna was just a pretext. Sri Krishna wanted to advise the 60 people who had attended or who were going to attend a camp in Lonavala. For that, Arjuna was the pretext. This should reach in 2022, February 27 to March 4, a bunch of people who will come to Lonavala, Kaivalya Dham, Narayani Dhama. See, what farsightedness, अर्जुन को निमित्त बनाकर हम सबको श्री कृष्ण कह रहे हैं. And but how are we to do it? Another golden expression which Sri Ramakrishna, I must once more say, used it periodically in his teachings. When you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, he uses the word Abhyasa Yoga. That is given in the Gita. Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Nanyagamina Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Parthanu Chintayan Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Kavim Purana Manushasitaram Anoraniyan Samanusmaredyaha Sarvasya Dhataramachintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat Kanamanushasitaram Anoraniya Aditya Varnam Abhyasa Yoga. We know Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, Karma Yoga. I believe Swami Shivananda once told a rich man but who was very arrogant and had hurt a lot of people by his egoistic behavior and who was very sad having damaged his relationships. He had come to Shivananda Ashram in Rishikesh and he was attending satsangs but his mind did not know peace. He then asked Swami Shivananda, tell me some spiritual practice whereby I will attain some man shanti. I have crores of rupees with me, but I have no peace of mind because my own wife doesn't want to talk to me. My own children keep away from me, etc. And Swami Shivananda said, what kind of spiritual practice do you want? The merchant said, the rich merchant, anything, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, any yoga you give me. Yes, I have a special yoga, specially designed for you. You must do this yoga. What is it? It is called boot polish yoga. Boot polish yoga. When the satsang goes on, Your job is not to come inside and sit there, front row, etc. All that you have done enough, being in the front row, getting the best chair, going in the most expensive car, this, that. For next 1 week, when all 300, 400 are in the satsang hall, listening to some bhajan, kirtan or my discourse, you be outside, take a piece of cloth and polish the shoes, chappals, juta of everybody there, arrange them in a nice way. When they come out from the satsang, they should be surprised. Who cleaned our shoes? Who polished our shoes? So that is called boot polish yoga. Like that, Evam bahuvida yajnaha vitata brahmano mukhe, says Sri Krishna in 4th chapter. There are so many ways of practicing spirituality. And here is an expression, abhyasa yoga. Adi Shankara gives a beautiful explanation. What is abhyasa yoga? It is first of all a matter of mai chitta samarpana vishaya bhute. It's about chitta samarpana, simple words, fixing our mind in God. And then the crux of the definition is tulya pratyaya avrutti lakshana. Avrutti means repetition. Abhyasa is nothing but you sit, and whether it is for an hour or just 10 minutes, who cares? Do it, please. Do it, even if it is for 10 minutes. Tulya pratyaya avrutti. If you are saying Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, for those 10 minutes, yatha shakti, we understand, your mind wanders. If your mind doesn't wander, something is wrong with you. Normal human beings, mind wanders. So, mind wanders, but every time it wanders, once you become aware, bring it back. See that the same kind of thoughts, that is, you are thinking of Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, think of Sri Ram, think of Sri Ram, not anything else related, that is going away. So, tulya pratyaya avrutti, vilakshana pratyaya anantaritaha. To the extent possible, I would add, it should not be, this flow of similar thoughts should not be interrupted. Antara is interruption. Anantaritaha. Uninterrupted. There should not be the intrusion of some dissimilar thought. You say Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, and you think of somebody with the name Rama. I think the President of India today has the name Ramnath Kovind. Your mind jumps to Ramnath Kovind. I don't know what kind of president we have today. Other day I read something about him, and he Suppose you, from Lord Sri Rama, you went to Ramnath Kovind, then maybe somebody else with some similar name, jumping like a monkey jumping from one branch of a tree to another. That is what Shankara would call vilakshana pratyaya antaritaha. And what is desired is vilakshana pratyaya anantaritaha. Should not get interrupted. Abhyasa. With that abhyasa, anyone over a length of time can gain steadiness. How do we know we are progressing? Frequently asked question. Swami Paramarthananda in Chennai made a formula. You want to know whether you have progressed? Use the formula FIR. FIR elsewhere is first information report. In police station you go and complain. You fill up on FIR. That's a very important legal document. Was there an FIR lodged? They will ask you first. Right, FIR. But here it's not that first information report to be filled up in the police station. FIR is a formula used for measuring our own progress in a manner of saying. F is frequency, I is intensity, R is restoration time. If you want to know whether you have progressed, please do not think in extremes. I used to get angry and now I don't get angry at all, so I have progressed. That is extreme. The frequency of angry moments. Earlier you are getting angry 4 times in a day, and today you get angry once in 4 days. 4 times in a day versus once in 4 days. Mathematically, you came down to 1/16th of the earlier frequency, right? Frequency reduces. You do get angry now also. You do get lusty. You do get greedy. You tell lies. You used to tell lies so frequently before. At the drop of a hat, you would tell a lie. Now you tell lie. Some habits don't leave you so quickly and so easily. Once in a while, you said the lie and then you bite your tongue. I should not have said this lie, especially to my own husband. I should not have told lie. Whatever, right? Again, you are careful for a length of frequency reduced. Second is intensity. Earlier you are getting angry, and you are becoming what you call Rudravatara. Everybody would be. You are angry, let's say, with your spouse. Even children and others at home would keep a distance from you for some time. Mother or father, whoever is, until she cools down, until he calms down, don't go near him. That was the atmosphere. But now intensity has reduced. Again you shouted, again you made a face, again you thumped the table. But it was less intense. The voice and many other, body language, facial expressions, and some people even literally break things. One husband had a fight with wife all through night, up to 3 a.m., arguments. And he would never want to hurt her physically, but there was so much anger in him. You know what he did? There was damla, what do you call it? Flower pot. Yes. A flower pot, yeah. Gamla. In Hindi they call it gamla. In their beautiful, wonderful house, there were several gamlas having some plants indoor. He was so angry, but he would not. Somehow his nature was that he would not think of hitting her or beating her, though he was very angry with the whole matter. He took a flower pot, a plant pot, and lifted it. I can't bear this anymore, and he dropped it on the floor. It broke to pieces. And next day he had to get it replaced and all that. That is intensity. When the intensity of such angry outbursts reduces, maybe this husband got angry on later occasions also, but if he had done Abhyasa Yoga, you know what happens? He would get angry, maybe shake a little, then say, okay, I think we must sleep now. It's 3 a.m. Something like that. He would come down quickly. Intensity. Last one is restoration time. FIR. On earlier occasions, when you got angry, you took 21 days to get back to normal. I'm giving some random figure. Slowly, you restore yourself to normalcy more quickly. Restoration time again reduces. So frequency reduces, intensity reduces, restoration time reduces. FIR, the 3 criteria, 3 parameters reduce. That he said, and I think similar things Kanchi Paramacharya also had said. Traditionally this is said. Gradually you get better. You work on yourself. There is a subject, there is a part of this spiritual subject which says you change gradually. There is another area, certain portions of Vedanta, which say as long as you believe in this gradual business, you will never change. It is another trap. But that is higher Vedanta. As you have, to a great extent, come to some kind of, ability to understand yourself, then it is true. You let go of this theory of gradual improvement. You are mature enough, or you are sort of. In fact, it's a mystery how you graduate to this higher level of spirituality. On the higher level of spirituality, the theories which were very valid before become invalid. You are concerned with change at one go, not gradually. So in Vedanta, in many other mystic traditions, they talk about a sudden change. Sudden change. Sometimes it happens to you when you are in the presence of a great, advanced spiritual person. You might be otherwise very low in your own eyes or in the eyes of others. But in the presence of that saintly lady, Mata Amrita Anandamayi, or such things happened to people when they were near Ramakrishna or Ramana. Therefore, they became over a length of time without any institution giving them some title. Pope did not give a title to someone like Ramakrishna or Ramana. In certain religions, there is a structure, and some high authority goes through the files and then confers sainthood to X or Y. But in the Indian tradition, it's very, very loose, and someone gets recognized by people, by society generally. So there is that theory too. Therefore, though I have said FIR and all that, don't take it as the last word. FIR is true on a certain level, and change is instantaneous. The dropping of the ego is instantaneous, is also true on another level. Abhyasa yoga yuktena chetasa, with mind which is endowed with Abhyasa yoga, one thinks of Divyam Purusham, then Yati, goes to that higher state of consciousness. But what is that Divya Purusha? That is explained in the 9th shloka. Kavi, all-knowing, Purana, most ancient, Anushasita. Anushasita becomes Anushasitaram. Neta is a leader. If you want to say, I salute the leader, you have to say, Netaram Vande. That is called Dvitiya Vibhakti. Neta, Netaram Vande. Pita, Pitaram Namami. Mata, Mataram Vande. Vande Mataram. So Mata becomes Mataram. Anushasita becomes Anushasitaram. Some pointers to that higher truth are given in the 9th mantra. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.